Imagine a secret so big and so powerful that it could change the entire world of kings and queens forever. It was 11:15 in the morning on April 21st in the year 2026, and something very strange was happening at Buckingham Palace. For almost 100 years, the royal family has followed the same rules and the same traditions every single day without fail. But on this quiet morning, a tradition that had lasted for a very long time was broken in total silence. Usually, the king has a very special red box. This red box is famous because it holds the most important papers in the whole country. These papers tell the king what is happening with the government and the world. Every day, this red box is put right on the king's private desk so he can read it. But 2 days ago, that box was sent to a different place. It was moved under very heavy security with guards watching it every second. It was sent to the office of a man called the Lord Chamberlain. This was not a small mistake made by a helper. This was a big plan to change the rules of the kingdom. While most of the world was fast asleep in their beds, a big machine was starting to move to change who gets to be the next king or queen in the British line of succession. We are hearing news that King Charles III has finished a very important document that changes everything for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle and their family. People already knew there was a big fight, but what happened inside a special room called Room 1844 will make you feel like you cannot even breathe. It is a very serious moment for everyone involved in the royal world. For the last 2 days, the place where Harry and Meghan live in California has been very, very quiet. This place is called Montecito, and it is usually very sunny and happy, but now it feels scary and still. People who know the Duchess of Sussex say that Meghan Markle is not being quiet because she is happy or at peace. She's being quiet because she is in total shock and cannot believe what is happening. Someone who knows the truth said that when the news reached California, Meghan was seen walking back and forth on the grass of her big house. She was holding her phone very tightly, and she was calling her team of lawyers over and over again. She kept saying that the king cannot do this to them. She said it was a break of every promise they were ever given a long time ago. But according to the papers moving through London right now, the king not only can do it, but he has already done it. The center of this huge event is Room 1844 at Buckingham Palace. This is a very beautiful room where the most important guests from all over the world come to visit. But for 6 long hours on Tuesday, it turned into a room for a big legal battle. No helpers were allowed to go inside the room. No one was allowed to have a cell phone or a tablet or any other device. Only the king, his son Prince William, and very smart lawyers for the crown were in that room. They were there to look at one very special folder called Project Silver. Project Silver is the secret name for a new rule made in 2026. To understand how this works, you have to look at how the rules of the kingdom are set up like a big ladder. A king cannot just wake up and decide someone is no longer in line for the throne because he is mad. He needs the big group of people who make laws, called Parliament, to help with a change like that. However, a king has all the power over something called the letters patent. You can think of these as royal permission slips or official letters. These are the papers that say who gets to be called a prince and who gets to be called a princess. They also say who is a real royal heir. By changing the rules for who is an active royal, King Charles has built a big legal wall. One person who works at the palace was heard telling a friend that the king looked at the papers, picked up his favorite fountain pen, and said that the royal family must stay strong even if it hurts people's feelings. He said the group is more important than the individuals. The first big thing that happened was a letter sent to a group of advisors called the Privy Council. This letter said they should skip the normal rules for people who live far away from the United Kingdom. This is the part that starts everything. It uses an old rule from 100 years ago to say that being a prince or having a place in line for the throne is not just something you are born with. It is a job that you have to do to earn it. As of this morning on April 23rd, the time for Harry and Meghan's lawyers to give an answer is almost up. The palace has set a very hard boundary. Behind the scenes, the king's move is being seen as the final answer to all the problems. The fight got even worse when a report came out about a short and very cold phone call between London and California. Someone at the palace said the king sounded very serious and like he had already made up his mind. When Harry asked if they could talk about it or make a deal, the king only said one thing that hurt very much. He said that the crown is a big responsibility and not just a fancy brand name for selling things. Meghan's reaction has been described as very, very angry by the people who are close to her. She is not just mad because of her feelings. She is mad because she is losing her power to make deals. Without the titles of prince and princess for her children, Archie and Lilibet, their business will not be worth as much money. The Sussex brand could fall apart and disappear. This is no longer just a small family fight between a father and a son. This is a big move by the whole country to protect the future of the royal family from being used to make money. You are watching the biggest change to the British royal line in more than 10 years. The king has not just moved a piece on the board, he has changed the whole game. To understand why the king finally signed the paper today, we have to look back at the last 6 years. This was not something the king did just because he was angry for a moment. It was a very slow and careful choice that finally reached its boiling point this morning. The path to this moment is full of broken rules and missed chances to be friends again. The trouble started on January 8, 2020. The world called it Megxit, but inside the palace they called it the Great Breach. When Harry and Meghan said they were leaving their royal jobs, the first big thing they lost was the security paid for by the people's taxes. The message from the palace was quiet but very strong. If you are not part of the royal team, you are not protected by the royal shield. The next big break happened on March 7, 2021. That was when Harry and Meghan did a big interview with Oprah Winfrey. This was the moment the family fight became a huge war in the news all over the world. They said things about the family that really hurt people's feelings and made the whole group look bad. A person who works for the king later said the late queen saw that interview as a declaration of war. From that hour, the relationship went from being sad to being like enemies. By January 10, 2023, any hope for peace went away when Harry's book, called Spare, was put in stores for everyone to read. This book was the final blow. By telling secrets about fights and private talks with Prince William, Harry broke the rules of privacy that the royal family needs to work properly. The gates of the palace were not just closed. They were locked up tight with heavy iron chains. Then things got even more serious on February 5, 2024, when the world found out the king was having health challenges. This changed everything. The palace started working even faster on a plan to make sure the family stayed safe. They realized that having a part of the family in California that was still acting like royals while attacking the family was too dangerous for the future. They did not want Prince William to have to deal with that when he becomes king one day. The fight turned from personal feelings to being about money on June 15, 2025. In California, Meghan started a new business for expensive things. She wanted to get $100 million for it from people who invest money. She used her title as a duchess to try to make the business look important. To the palace, this was the final straw. Using a royal name to make a private business in another country was seen as very wrong. The final legal steps started on the first day of 2026. Behind closed doors, a new law was made very quickly. This law was made to give the king the tools he needed to take away titles from people who were acting against the national interest. Just a few weeks ago, the High Court said no to Harry's last chance to get police protection. This brings us back to right now, April 23, 2026. The king has officially signed the paper to stop all royal honors for the Sussex family. The long story of fighting has reached its end. But as the royal status goes away, a scary question remains. Without the royal shield and without their titles to help them make money, what will Harry and Meghan do next? The next move in this big game of royal chess is already being planned in the shadows of California. Taking away a royal title is not as simple as just writing your name on a paper. It is like taking down a whole building piece by piece. To understand how big this is today, you have to look at a 3-part legal staircase that King Charles has used to protect the future of the family. This is the paper trail that Harry and Meghan's lawyers have been trying to hide from the public. At the first step of this staircase is the most shocking document in modern royal history. It is the Letters Patent 2026. We now know that this paper creates a new definition for who is a working royal. Under this new rule, being a prince or a princess is not something you keep forever just because you were born into it. Instead, it is a reward you only get if you do your job for the crown. The paper says that if you live far away and do not do royal work, your title can be taken away. This means Archie and Lilibet are no longer being seen as royals who are waiting for their turn. They are being seen as regular people who have no special royal rights anymore. Moving up the staircase, we get to the second part, which is the people who make sure the rules are followed. This involves 2 very old and powerful groups in England. One is the Privy Council and the other is the College of Arms. Privy Council is a group of smart people who give advice to the king. They have been called to a special meeting to agree to these changes. At the same time, the group that handles royal symbols is looking at Harry and Meghan's family coat of arms. In the world of royals, if this group does not recognize you, your title becomes like a legal ghost. It might look real, but it has no power. An official said that having a title without being on the official list is like having a passport that has been canceled. It will not get you across the border of being a real royal. But the final and most powerful step is the law from the government. While the king controls titles, the line of who becomes the next king is controlled by the law of the land. This brings us to a law from 2013. Lawyers say that if a member of the royal family does things that hurt the monarchy, the king can ask the government to step in. By saying that Harry and Meghan have not been loyal because of their business deals and telling secrets, King Charles has given the government the reason it needs to act. This is the ultimate weapon. If the king shows that they were not loyal, the government can vote to skip Harry's part of the family in the line of succession. Secret files show that the check on Harry's loyalty was finished on April 15th. Everyone agreed that he had failed. The king is no longer acting like a dad. He is acting like the boss of a very old company that is trying to stop losing money. As these rules lock into place, Harry and Meghan are finding themselves trapped. The question is not if they will lose their status, but what happens when the most famous prince in the world suddenly has no kingdom at all. The staircase only goes down, and they are reaching the bottom very fast. Most people see a family fighting, but behind the scenes, this is a very cold and mechanical operation. King Charles is not using his feelings. He is following a four-step plan to stop the Sussex family from hurting the crown for a long time. This is how a king removes his own grandchildren from the royal list without ever getting loud. The first step was to stop giving them money. According to palace records, this part is already done. By cutting off all the money from the king and the special lands in Cornwall, the king has taken away their safety net. In the world of power, a prince with no money is a prince with no voice. The money has been turned off like a faucet, making Harry and Meghan rely only on their own businesses. This leads to the second trap. Step 2 is taking away their royal style. As of this morning, a special order has been made for their lawyers. The king has turned off a rule that lets them use their royal names for things that make money. One person at the palace called this a strategic move. Without the royal name, their brand loses its magic for people who want to invest money. It turns a royal title into something that belongs in a history book. It makes it almost impossible for Meghan to get that $100 million she wanted. The third step is a very smart legal trick called the residency rule. Under a new rule for 2026, anyone who wants to be in line for the throne must live in the United Kingdom for at least half the year. This is called the 183 rule. Because Archie and Lilibet live in California, they have failed this rule. The king is not taking their rights, he's just saying they gave them up by moving away. The legal paper says the crown cannot be held by people who do not live in the country. The final step moves the fight into the government. Step 4 is the big change in the law. By making the fight about national security instead of family feelings, the king has made his choice very hard to argue with. When the government tells the people about these changes, it will not be about Harry's feelings. Countries do not care about feelings. They care about being safe and staying the same for a long time. This four-step plan has left Harry and Meghan all alone. They have no money from the king, their brand name is hurt, they do not live in the right place, and the government is against them. The machine is locked and the gears are turning. But even as this plan finishes, something new and dangerous has happened. Reports say that some secret papers were sent to a big law firm in London. It looks like Harry and Meghan might have known this was coming. If the king is using the law like a sword, Meghan might be trying to use the truth like a shield. The question is, who will act first when the sun comes up tomorrow? While the world talks about if this is fair, the real moves in London and California show that a big attack has already happened. This is not just a talk about laws anymore. It is a real fight for power. To see how final this is, we have to look at what happened in the dark over the last 2 days. At 2 o'clock in the morning on April 22nd, a black car drove quickly through the back gate of Buckingham Palace. It did not go to a hospital or the king's home. It went to a very famous law firm called Harbottle and Lewis. This is the firm the royal family uses when they want to be very aggressive and protect their names. The time is very important. 2 in the morning is when you move if you do not want anyone to see you. A person from the palace spent 4 hours there finishing the legal orders being sent to Harry and Meghan today. The news of that meeting reached California almost instantly. Yesterday afternoon, Meghan Markle was seen at a restaurant in Santa Barbara. People who saw her said she did not look like the happy, smiling person she usually is. She was not even eating. Instead, she was looking at a black, very safe smartphone. One person said she looked very scared and pale. She was typing very fast on the screen. The fact that she was using a high-security phone is a big deal. This is the kind of phone lawyers use when they are sending very important and scary papers. This suggests that Meghan was seeing the king's orders in real time. She was watching her children's titles being taken away while sitting in a restaurant in California. But the most chilling thing is a paper seen by someone at the palace. It is a 12-page letter explaining why the Sussex family must be removed from the royal records. The most important part is the bottom of the last page. Next to the king's signature is the name of William, the Prince of Wales. In the world of royals, having both the king and the next king sign a paper is a death blow. It shows they are totally united. It tells Harry that things will not change even when William becomes king. It shows that the father and the brother have both decided that the family must go for the royal institution to live. This paper is not just a plan, it is a promise. The king's lawyers in London and Meghan's pale face in California are all part of the same story. The loop is tightening around them. Every hour, the secrets on that black phone become more dangerous. What was in those files that made a duchess look so scared? The answer is in the final plans being talked about at Windsor. As we get close to May 2026, the royal family is ready for 3 different things that could happen. Each one leads to a different future, but only one matches the king's cold plan. The first idea is the nuclear option. This would be a very bad fight that might make Harry and Meghan get a divorce. If Harry feels he has to choose between his family and his wife to keep his title, everything could fall apart. In this case, Meghan might release secret recordings of the royal family to get back at them. This would be a total war that would hurt everyone. The second path is the frozen line. This means the children's titles are put on hold. They would not be removed, but they would be moved to the very back of the line behind everyone else. Their titles would be frozen until they turn 18. Then they would have to move to England and promise to be loyal to the king to get them back. It is a very slow way of saying goodbye. However, the third and most likely path is the silent erasure. This is the classic way the British royal family handles things. They stay calm and quiet. King Charles is not expected to make a big speech on TV or have a loud fight in court. Instead, the world will see the truth in the next royal list. By simply leaving out the names of Archie and Lilibet, the king gets what he wants without saying a word. In the royal world, if your name is not on the list, you do not exist to the state. This is the cleanest way to protect the crown. Why is this the best path? Because the royal family has stayed strong for 1,000 years by being quiet. They do not fight, they just stop recognizing people. They do not argue, they just stop inviting people. By taking the Sussex family out of the official papers, the king makes their titles like a ghost. They might still be in the news in California, but they have no power in the government of England. But even the best plan can fail. As we finish this report today, some scary news has come from near the old house where Harry and Meghan used to live. Someone found a secret computer drive with recordings called the Windsor tapes. These are said to be recordings from 2018 that could show a secret deal that makes the king's new rules invalid. Does Meghan plan to show these tapes to the world next month? Or is she using them to try to get millions of dollars from the king? The future of the royal family might depend on who gets scared first. The story of Project Silver is a complex one, and the final outcome is still to be seen. The king has made his choice, and now the world must wait for the reaction. The crown is a heavy burden, and King Charles is feeling its weight. The choices he makes now will define his reign. The House of Windsor will never be the same again, and the history of tomorrow is being written today in the halls of Buckingham Palace and the streets of California.